Hi YouTube, my name's Jen and this is my first video after being diagnosed with vocal cord paralysis. Okay, a little bit about me. I'm 45, I've been married to John for 20 years now and we have 3 children, all grown ups nearly. And I've been singing in bands since I was about 14 years old. Back in 2010 I was made redundant. I used to run a call centre and I thought, decided to try and see whether I could make a career out of singing. So registered with local agencies, went for auditions, and then over the last 3 years or so I've been building up my work with either a 10-piece soul band which I sing with called Soul Devotion, a band which does 90s house revival club classics music called House Jammers, and I also work for an agency called Alive Network, and they send me out to pubs, clubs, weddings and parties all over the country, all over the UK, under my professional name Diva Divine or Tribute to the Divas. So I'm out pretty much every weekend singing, etc. And also in the week, 3 times a week, I do vocal lessons at a local music school called Rhythm Foundry. So using my voice quite a lot, but I have been doing that for quite a long time. So over the last year, 18 months or so, I started to notice that my range was getting less. I was finding it harder to get the high notes. A lot of the songs in the House Jammers set are quite belty songs. We start with Black Box, Ride on Time, so you can imagine, it goes up from there. And sometimes I do that set on my own and I could be singing 2 hours straight, all of those kinds of classic songs. So yes, I noticed my range was getting less, and I was really struggling, and it's a bit naughty to say though, but through my singing career to that date I hadn't really had any formal vocal lessons, so decided to source and find myself a singing teacher, and I did. Her name was Shelley. She doesn't live too far away from me, and I go to her once a fortnight and she shows me vocal techniques, which is fantastic. It really strengthened my voice, but I still felt that I was having problems. I didn't feel like my voice was right. It felt like I had a lump in my throat. It felt like my right side was always weaker than my left side. I'd try and sing and my voice would break partway through as I was sustaining notes, etc. So I was really struggling and it was really getting me down. So Shelley suggested I go to my doctor and see whether I could get some help from them. Like most singers, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you're probably somebody who's got those concerns themselves with their throat. I didn't really want to go down that route. I didn't really want to confirm that I was having problems, because I'm a professional voice user and we should be all able to carry on regardless. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad that Shelley urged me to do this, because it was a good thing to do. And you should do so as well. If you've got any concerns, the doctor is definitely the first point of contact. So I finally went and I got referred to for a throat examination. Went along for my first laryngoscopy, and this is where they place a camera down your nose, down the back of your throat, and it dangles just above your vocal cords, showing on the screen what your vocal cords are looking at. And the first person I saw was just a general GP, and he couldn't really see any problems at that point. He said that they all look in order, but because I'm a professional voice user, it was a good idea for me to get referred to the consultant. So a few weeks later, about 6 weeks later, I had another appointment with the voice consultant. Same thing again, so the camera down the nose. It's not a very comfortable procedure, but it is worthwhile. So again, the camera down, dangling over my vocal cords, and his opinion was I had thickening vocal cords, and this was probably the reason why my voice had changed. The sound of my voice had changed. I was struggling with the range because they were less flexible, they were a bit thicker than usual, but from his point of view, being a consultant, there was nothing really he could do to help me, because he was probably thinking I may have got nodules that could be surgically removed. that wasn't the case, so it was really, yes, thickening of the vocal cords. Sorry, goodbye. Hope it all goes well for you. Not really satisfied with that as an outcome. I went back to my doctor on Shelley's advice again. Great Shelley, great help she is. She knew a voice therapist who was based in the next county, which is Derbyshire, from where I live, and suggested I try and get a referral from my doctor to go and see this voice therapist. It's a little bit difficult because depending on the county you live in the UK, you have to take the services of that county as part of your National Health Service, so it was a little bit of wrangling and pushing to get my own way, but eventually I did get an appointment with the voice therapist and the voice consultant from the Derbyshire area. About 2 weeks ago I went along for that appointment, and probably this was the worst laryngoscopy that I've had to date. It was very in-depth. She put the camera down in the same and normal way, but instead of just having it dangling above my vocal cords, she had it planted within my vocal cords, which was making me gag, retch, and want to just rid this thing from my throat. But the reason she was doing that was because she wanted to have a really good look at all areas of my vocal cords. And then I was diagnosed at that point with having vocal cord palsy, which as I suspected, my right hand side wasn't responding to calls to make noise. It wasn't joining up and meeting my other vocal cords in the middle. What was actually happening, it was my vocal cord from the left hand side was getting more powerful and more strong and finding its way over to join the weaker vocal cord. So I have this imbalance in my vocal cord strength. So diagnosed with the paralysis or palsy, which is the other name for it. Also diagnosed with acid reflux, which is when the acid from my stomach rises up into my gullet and sits on the back of my vocal cords. Terrible for singers because this acid burns your vocal cords, and I've googled some articles on the internet, and it says it does feel like a little lump, like you feel like you've got a lump in your throat, so that makes sense with what I was feeling earlier on. And the final thing she said she could see was the onset of vocal nodules. Usually when you have a voice that breaks in certain registers, the tendency is wanting to push your voice, your chest voice, which is when your vocal cords are touching at their greatest, pushing your chest voice up to make that sound. So that's what I've started to try and do, which is causing these nodules to show. And she doesn't seem too concerned with the nodules. She said that they're very, very small. In fact, they just look like bubbles of saliva on my throat. So she wasn't really concerned too much about those. And as she said, with the therapy, I should be able to overcome and not increase these vocal cords or not make them any worse. So I have tomorrow my first vocal therapy appointment, where hopefully I'll be shown some new techniques to improve the condition of my voice. The good thing is I can continue to sing and work, and I think, from my point of view, I feel like my voice gets stronger and stronger every day, gets more flexible, so it's great that I can continue to do my work. So if you're there sitting thinking whether it's the right thing to do to get involved with hospitals to improve your voice, it is well worth it. So next video I hope to post to you is give you some idea of where I am at the moment, and thank you very much for watching.